Ye Uruna, Umukoko Igbere Uruna. Uruna nene Umukoko Igbere Uruna. 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 Eko nenore. Umukoko Igbere Uruna.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Urhobo. Welcome to another wonderful episode of Urhobocast right here at Urhobo.UK with your boy Onos Shanoms and Majoro Uwejeya. Incidentally, Majoro Uwejeya is not here. That is because, like I said to you the other time, she's looking after business. But I believe that in the very next episode, Majoro will be back with us. So we must move on, even though today we are going to be talking about the UPU again. Don't forget that this podcast has to do with everything Urhobo. And before we go ahead, I want to say that Urhobocast and Urhobo.UK are in collaboration. Urhobo.UK is a website that has to do with everything Urhobo as well. That is a website created by Chief Nyeru Gujabo. Everything that has to do with Urhobo. If you haven't checked it out before, please go and look at that website. It contains so much content in it that you need to see. You know, Anti-Rookie, you know, Urhobocast, you know, a lot of Urhobo stuff there. All the different associations in Urhobo, articles and the rest are being put there daily. So if you haven't before, please check Urhobo.UK. It's www.urhobo.uk. Yes. And also, if you want to advertise as well, you can also advertise on Urhobo.uk. And then if there is anything that you want to bring out to the community, especially in the UK and the wider diaspora, please get in touch with either myself, Onos Shanoms, or Nyero Wujabo or Majoro Uwejeya, and we'll put whatever you've got out there, especially if it's got something to do with Urhobo and if it's going to add value to Urhobo, we'll definitely throw it out there. So we're going to be doing a lot of interviews. We're going to be doing a lot of shows in the coming weeks and months. But because of time constraint, we haven't been able to actually get so much out there for you. But today we are back on air. Incidentally, recently we had 2 Urhobo days, as you know, and there was a call by Urhobo youths for our mothers and our fathers to boycott those particular events. That is because we do not believe that having 2 UPUs in the UK actually does any kind of justice to the Urhobo cause. And division, as a whole, is a minus, is a disadvantage in any way or shape that you want to look at it. And because of that, we refuse to get involved in anything that have to do with division in Urhobo. Now, this podcast has to do with an interview that was granted that I had with Olorogun Charles Okobia. Olorogun Charles Okobia recently did a paper in one of the events, in one of the 2 UPU events. That's the one that was held on the 27th of August. That is the Ganiga UPU. At the convention, he actually delivered a paper where he spoke, like a real Urhobo man. He came out, despite all odds, he spoke the truth. And, a lot of people were dumbfounded after his speech. And we happened to run into him and we did an interview with him. So as to end this podcast, we're going to go into that interview so that you can get a snippet of what he talked about, delivering his paper, and then, the way forward, what he thinks is the way forward for Urhobo. And in that particular interview, it was put to him whether it is not time for the 2 leaders of the 2 UPU to be the ones to get us out of the problems that they have put us. Whether you like it or not, Urhobo is divided is because of these two leaders, Chief Omasoro and Chief Ganiga. Now, a lot of people have actually tried to do something about this problem, to bring both of them to a round table to discuss and to come to an amicable settlement of this dispute. If it's to have one election or just come up with draw up, like a plan on how to get the whole community in the UK together, but it has, for one reason or the other, been so far unsuccessful. And for me today, my call is to say, if those two people, Chief Omasoro and Chief Ganiga, actually call themselves leaders, okay, I believe that they should not be the ones to do something about this particular problem. Yes? Because I believe that one of the reasons why they have refused all entities for there to be unity in the UK is because maybe it is an idea of, coming from other people. Maybe they don't like it. Maybe because of their ego, they have said, you know what, I'm not going to listen to anyone. Now, if you're not going to listen to people, you're not going to listen to the youth, you're not going to listen to the elders, you're not even going to listen to people who are your mates, who think that division is actually a disadvantage. And so, it is not time that we throw the ball into your courts. Chief Ganiga, what do you want to do about this problem that we have, the division in Urhobo? What do you want to do? Chief Omasoro, what do you want to do about this problem? Now, you call yourself leaders. Yes, we have a problem. Are you saying that you are an Urhobo leader and you cannot resolve the problem that we have in Urhobo? How can you call yourself a leader after that? Yes? Now, for me, if this particular tenure that you guys are on now goes past without resolving this issue, it means the both of you have failed as leaders of Urhobo. I'm putting it across to you that if by the end of your tenure, you have not been able to resolve the issue that we have in Urhobo, it means that both of you have failed as leaders. And that is how history is going to define the both of you. And that is how people are going to look at the both of you going forward, to the extent that you might lose respect. So this is an opportunity. Both of you, UPU 1, UPU 2, you are back in your shares. Deal with the problem. Okay? That is where I'm going to end my rant. I want everyone, all listeners out there, all Urhobo people out there, to listen to the interview that I had with Chief or Olorogun Charles Okobia. Have a pleasant listening. And then you can throw your comments out there at the end of the interview. Let me know what you think about it, and then we go forward from there. Urhobo Wado. Thank you very much, Chief, for coming on Urhobocast today. We at Urhobocast, we are very grateful to have someone like you coming to grant us an interview today. So basically, we are here today because of the paper that you presented at the last UPU Urhobo Day celebration here in the UK. And the paper has actually gone into the community far and wide, actually, and with a lot of reactions, mixed reactions, and, some very, very good responses out there. So, but before we go into your paper, I would like you to tell us a little bit about yourself. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, in the first place, thanks, Onos, for inviting me to Urhobocast. Actually, the speech was delivered on the 27th of August at the Urhobo Convention, International Convention by UPU President Chief Ganiga. So I think Urhobo Day was done the day previously by another group, which is President Omasoro. He had Urhobo Day on the 26th and the 27th of the Urhobo Convention. So that's a little correction there. Well, my name, Olorogun Charles Okobia, as you well said. Yes, I'm Olomo Chief, and I'm the president of Ologun Progress Union here in the UK as well. I've been in UPU affairs quite actively. In 2005, 2006, I was the publicity secretary to Chief Humphrey Agoria as the UPU president. But since the crisis developed in the UK, I've sort of taken a back seat for the last 12 years or so. But I was humbled to be invited by Chief Daniga and his group to present a talk on Urhobo total unity. By training, I'm a computer scientist, and I've been an international consultant to many banks here in the UK and abroad in Europe. But I'm still semi-retired. Okay. And I run my security business and computer consultancy by the side. Okay, so that's who I am.
Okay, thank you very much, Chief Charles Okobia. Listeners out there, you know who our guest for today is now. Chief, we will not go into your paper proper. From your introduction, we got to understand that you were actually invited specifically to give this paper, but in your paper, you gave a very brief background of how we arrived at the position that we find ourselves right now. You even made mention of how this issue of division and infighting in Urhobo has actually gone, far and wide, as in it's not just here in the UK, but back home in Nigeria, even in the USA.
Yes, indeed. In fact, if you see the structure of the speech, I started by looking at UPU historically and why it was set up, and how it fed, and how it has, unity is strength. Became the motto in 1956. Earlier, before, it was higher thoughts and higher aims. It's an association that was formed in the 30s. So up to 56, to change it to unity is strength. There must have been a reason, and a very strong reason, I believe. So the idea is to look at the union. What was the formation? What is the idea of this union that represents the Urhobo people? Why was the motto unity is strength? Is it because they wanted to make sure that the Urhobos are together and speak with one voice?
Yes.
So from that point of view, I also trace historically how it helped to resolve certain issues involving various kingdoms, and in some cases where kings are unable to resolve their own problems, they call on the UPU president to help resolve it, because it was a unifying factor among the Urhobo people. As you know, we don't have a single monarch. We have about 23 different kings, or even 24 now, and the number is growing. So there was a need for a unifying umbrella, and UPU occupies that as a branded old association, which is why I looked at a historical fact, and that it was formed to unify us and, speak with one voice and develop our nation. And I touched on how they helped to shape on the educational values of Urhobos in those days by the setting up of Urhobo College and their influence in moving government college from Warri to Ughelli, and a lot of scholarships being awarded to Urhobo children so as to, encourage them to grow educationally. These were the good old days of UPU, and the leadership was very strong. But gradually, infighting and rancor started creeping in, and this is not unique to the United Kingdom. I try to trace the fact that we have issues of infighting in America. We have issues of infighting in Nigeria, which is our HQ, and it didn't just start yesterday. I even went as far back as 1983, after the death of Salubi, when Chief Misiri took over. So I sort of let people realize that this infighting is not unique to the UK. It's just that we have our own portion here. So my call, I try to give a very balanced view of the fact that we are always fighting wherever we are. And I really, the paper was to conclude to say, look, let's all unite. We're blessed people. Let's not split our energy into parts. That is really the main focus of my speech. But some people have taken it personal. Some have agreed to the message I was trying to pass on. But that's how human society works.
Yes, of course. You will always have people who disagree, even though they know it is true to a reasonable extent, for some personal reason. Now, when you were talking, even though you quoted Professor Anthony Okoli, you gave, some reasons that I believe you also agreed, and that is the reason why you have quoted our esteemed professor. You gave 3 reasons.
Correct.
Yes. One, you said a false sense of priority. That is a very interesting point for me, in the sense that, why would the Urhobos have a false sense of priority? Is it that the Urhobos per se do not have a specific goal as a people? Because I believe that when the UPU was formed, even though it was a social, so to speak, cultural organization, it was first of all to bring all of us together under one umbrella. That is because of the differences in our culture, well, not the culture, differences in our kingdoms. We have various kingdoms, and the variance to our language as well, because we have some pockets of dialect, like the Udus, like the Okbes, the Uyes, and the Ujeme, the Ewus, and Ireni. But it was to bring us together so that at least we have a particular authority that all Urhobo people can key into. And I believe that within that structure, there should have been a specific goal, like an aspiration that everyone can key into. So the question is that, for sense of priority, is it that Urhobos don't have a specific, is it that we don't have an aspiration for the whole of Urhobo?
Well, I know what you're driving at, but the point that was being made here by Professor Okoli really is to more or less the leaders of UPU. Why are they fighting, among themselves all the time? Why is this leadership crisis? And he puts it down to a false sense of priority. He says, what is the purpose of UPU? UPU is meant, if it's meant for the promotion of our Urhobo culture, then we have a common goal there. Then why is the crisis? The crisis is arising because some people look at it from a personal perspective.
Yes.
They are not looking at the fact that I love my tribe and I want to promote
my tribe.
The tribe, and I want to promote our culture. I want to develop our people, and I want to look at our problems and help to resolve them. But their priority may be something different, like, I want to be known as the president of UPU worldwide, or I want to be none of the president of UPU Canada or so. And anybody who fights against me will never get a chance. So brother fights brother, and this crisis develops. So what he was saying is, let us examine first and foremost, our objective. What are we trying to achieve as in this association called UPU? Is it to promote our culture? For example, you see what we are doing here in the UK. We have Urhobo school. Our children are going there to learn Urhobo, to learn Urhobo dance, to tie Urhobo wrapper and all these things, which is quite good. If everybody have this is what this union is meant to help our people to learn their language, to learn their culture, and so on. Then, if you are doing an election and somebody wins, okay, fine, go and do it. There's no personal reason why I should fight you for this and that. That's what he was trying to illustrate. He says a false sense of priority, because people are not looking at it from the top. They're looking at it at a personal level.
Yeah.
Which is what is wrong. Now, in terms of Urhobo agenda comes at specific times. During the election, UPU will be expected to make a choice for the Urhobo people, even though it may not be universally acknowledged, because people belong to different political parties, and therefore, it's difficult. But they are there to be able to look at what is best for the Urhobo nation and say, this is what we think is best for us. I mean, the Aniomas did that very well and supported Okowa 100% more or less. The Shekiris are also very good at that. So it's not unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you talked about people's political ambitions, getting in the way of the propensity to serve, and then also you mentioned clannishness, okay? And then you went ahead to talk about people's pride. But I mean, I'm sure everybody have seen this, and you actually explained it to a very large extent here. But can I add, or can I ask, is it possible that anger is also part of our problem as far as this whole thing is concerned? Because the reason why I'm saying anger is we don't seem to have patience with one another, in the sense that somebody makes the wrong call and all hell breaks loose. Somebody says something that was not supposed to be said, or in a particular place, all hell breaks loose. You see people going absolutely mad for what somebody have said or the attitude of a particular person. Is it not a thing that, anger as well, the anger that we exhibit sometimes is one of the problems that we are having?
Yes, that's very true. That's very true. But what are the causes of anger? I mean, if I'm an Olomu chief, if you say something that was not pleasant about me, perhaps the next Olomu man would be very angry with you, and may result to violence if possible. But this is not supposed to be. We ought to be able to look at criticisms very fairly and say, is he saying the truth? It doesn't matter if I'm from your clan or not from your clan. Is this true or is that not true? If we're able to evaluate things from a center position, then that unnecessary anger, like you say, would probably not be there. I've been in a UPU meeting before where some old lady was hit by a younger lady because she said something that was not pleasant to her. And this was here in the UK. We witnessed these things, but this is what we talk about, a false sense of priority. If we have a union that is here to promote the good of the best of the Urhobo nation, then we should concentrate on that objective, not, my brother has to be there or not has to be there. The question should be, can he deliver?
Yes.
Can he deliver better than the other person? With the all Urhobos, Urhobo of Urhobo. That's how UPU says it in the Urhobo motto of the union, Urhobo of Urhobo. We are all brothers and sisters. So when we evaluate positions in UPU, we should be looking at ability to serve, ability to serve, not where A or B comes from.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I know that oftentimes leads to anger because people are being sometimes clownish and they become. I don't want to use
over emotional
about what they believe in. But we ought to rework our thinking back to the fact that we are all Urhobos. We speak the same language, we understand each other. We are there in UPU for the good of all Urhobo. It's not just the good of your clan, particular clan. So if we can get to that level of thinking, then the anger bit will be conquered a little bit better.
Yeah, so that brings me to something here. Your paper actually went around. Personally, I actually sent it to all my contacts. But something that was instructive, a particular comment that I got, that I think that you should speak about here is one. The reason why I'm bringing this particular comment is because a lot of people seem to think that you hit the nail on the head in the sense that you spoke the truth, without fear or favor. Yeah? And listen to this particular comment and then let's see how you react to it. Yeah? The person, first of all, thanked me for sharing the paper to him. And then he said, this person was actually at the hall when you were presenting the paper. All right?
Okay.
Now, and he said, though I listened to the speech, but reading it over and over again make it very eye-opening. And then he went ahead to say, some of us had been lied to. Let's see this scenario from your paper. Yeah. You alluded to the fact that when Chief Salubi died, the first Deputy President General then, which in the person of Chief Dr. Esiri, took over and held on to power like it's his personal property, so to speak. Yeah. And then many years down the line, another President General died in the person of General Aziza. And Chief Joe Omene, as the first, Deputy President, took over. Yeah. Holding on to power, in the same vein. And then we have here in the UK where, the call for unity is being thrown aside for some reason that is inexplainable. Yes? So that particular fact, plus the fact that you said in your paper that during the elections here, I think in 2013 or is it 2012, that Chief Omasoro actually won that election and was disputed by Chief Ganiga, yes? And then because of that, the elections were cancelled for another one to be held almost immediately, but the Omasoro group decided not to get involved. And then out of anger, the baton was given to Ganiga. So some of the facts that we are getting from the paper is that, for instance, if the baton hasn't been given, if the baton was given to Ganiga, which means the president, the position of the president were actually given on a platter, on a platter. And so these are some of the truths, okay, that has fallen out of your paper that a lot of us did not know. Most people in Urhobo, especially in the UK here, did not know. So probably that is where he's coming from to say some of us have been lied to, because the commentaries that you hear out there is that we just have one group who are insistently refusing to get involved or to be part of, the Urhobo project.
Correct. Thank you very much. That's why I said there are so many different aspects that he may be thinking in his head when he said that he has been lied to. I mean, did he think before that Chief Ganiga was not given the baton of leadership by the UPU President General? If he had the impression that he wasn't, then maybe my paper has exposed that. We do know that General Ziza, as the President General, came here and he approved the election which was run by Chief Ganiga, which was won by Chief Ganiga, and he handed over UPU presidency to him, and with the certificate which he signed and handed over to the ESCO members. And I refer to Chief Barrister Okpako Ganiga as being a very shrewd lawyer.
Yeah, you said, yeah.
What I mean, he's a smart lawyer. He's a successful lawyer as well. And having a legal paper like that, his head is close to his chest, which is true. And I believe that is by his profession as well. If he's the legal president of UPU in the UK, and no one can argue that very, very much. But the whole point of my comment there is that he refused all entreaties for unity and reconciliation among the Urhobos in the UK. That he's overstated this legality a bit too much for a community association. For instance, when the Urhobo clan heads and the Council of Chiefs called for after the first term, please let us unite. Maybe they could have listened a little bit more carefully and tried to see if we can see that opportunity to unite the community. Because here in the UK, because obviously, there are many of our, highly regarded Urhobo people that are sitting on the fence at the moment. And even there are many who choose one side or the other, who decided to move into the center to give peace a chance.
Yeah.
I know this for a fact for both sides.
Yeah.
So, being a community association, yes, you are the legal president, and Master believes, he's the president of the people who won the election and is being oppressed.
Yeah.
All right, time has passed. Okay, what can we do to come together? Maybe it's a time to examine that. But if people had different impressions about the legality of Chief Okpako Ganiga's presidency, I've exposed that. And maybe that he may have been lied to one way or the other. I don't know what he means when he says he has been lied to. Yeah.
So, but you were just mentioning the last opportunity that we had, to actually bring everybody together, because from what I understood was that during the time where both sides, where their tenure was coming to an end, there was a call by the Council of Urhobo Chiefs and the head of the various clans of Urhobo to say, everyone has finished their tenure. Let us come together as one people and move forward from there. Now, what I understood that happened was both sides were actually sent messages to say, let's unite, let's form like a committee that could bring about an election for the whole of Urhobo, from both sides coming together, a neutral, kind of a body so that we can move forward from where we are. And, messages was sent to both sides. Of a fact, I know, and this is a fact, that Angus Omasoro, as at the time, actually decided not to hold his own election because his tenure came to an end first, and he stopped everything. And also, when he was asked not to do an Urhobo Day last year because of the Unity project, he also decided not to, which means he listened to the elders. All right? And then, the same message that was sent to Ganiga was actually not listened to, in the sense that Ganiga went ahead to do his own election, and then he just carried on without listening to what the elders have to say. I don't know what you have to contribute to this.
Well, I think that move by Chief Ganiga was ill thought out, I would say. I think he would have been a bit more patient and given the peace movement a chance, because the Council of Chiefs of Urhobos and the clan heads are the apex of leadership in the Urhobo nation here. And by the branding of UPU, everybody believes that UPU belongs to Urhobos, and all Urhobos belong to UPU. But that's the impression that we've always had, that as a result of the branding. Yeah. But there is another side that says, well, UPU belongs to Urhobos, but you have to be a registered member to be a member.
Yes.
And on that basis, you then equate it to other Urhobo unions like Urhobo Social Club and
yes. Urhobo, the Ekube and the Ufoma ladies and the rest, yes.
And then you can then say, if you then equate it to that level of unionism, then you can say, well, nobody apart from members of this union can come and dictate to me who's going to be the next president.
Yeah.
Which is the mistake we always make. Because obviously the Council of Chiefs are not going to sit down and say who's going to be next president of Urhobocast.
No.
If they have crisis.
No.
But the branding of UPU is such that, and that's why when I did my presentation, I was always insisting 1931, were you born then? 1956, were you born then? And all these things, because we want to 1938, were you born then when UPU did this?
No.
There is a strong history of the union, and there is a bond between the union and the Urhobo people in general. That's why, we have to treat UPU with a little bit of exclusivity in terms of general rules of organization. This is the same problem that Joe Mene is having back home. I did mention that, and I didn't say that it was the Urhobo stakeholders have decided, oh no, we're going to change the leadership without a transition. So I won't dwell on that because it's a legal issue at the moment. But the whole point is that the Urhobo stakeholders always feel that this is our union, we need to protect it, we need to have a say in it.
Of course.
And it's the same thing here in the UK that we need to handle and protect this very, very carefully. So I will have expected Chief Ganigan to be a little bit more patient, because the moves that were being made at that time were very good.
Yeah.
Even I remember, I don't like to mention names in this interview, but my good friend Chief Okolo was, if I'm right, elected as the head of the electoral committee for the joint election, wasn't it?
Yes.
At some point. But things started to fall apart, and Chief Ganigan held his own election. Yeah. As soon as that happens, the whole peace process collapsed. So it's something where we need to look at UPU. If it belongs to all the Urhobos, as we all want to be part of it, like we always do. This is why when you invite politicians from home, they want to come.
They want to come.
Because, it is the umbrella of the Urhobo people. So when we have that, we need to treat it with a little bit more difference in terms of when we talk about bringing our people together.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you very much. I mean, we have actually spent considerable amount of time of this interview, but we cannot finish until we actually go into your recommendations, because the paper that you presented basically was inside of each of your points. You said what should be, and then I believe that because of time you could not actually elaborate on them. So I believe this would be like a platform for you to give your recommendations from the point of view of Urhobo generally and specifically in the UK. The peace process for last year collapsed. Now, what is the way forward? What should the two leaders, because whether you like it or not, we are back to status quo, two UPUs in the UK, the Omasoro group and the Ganiga group. What should happen? What should they do? Because I believe that other people have tried their best. If you ask me, I will say right now the ball is on the court of both leaders to take us out of this particular quagmire. I don't think that there's been enough. There hasn't been enough. I'm looking for a particular word that is run away now. There hasn't been enough pressure on both leaders to do something about this issue, and that is the reason why they are very, very comfortable in their own shares doing what they are doing. I believe that there was call for boycott of these two events that took place recently. I'm sure it went a long way to put in some measure, some semblance of pressure on the two leaders. But I believe that it is now time for both of them to do something about the problem, because they can no longer call themselves leaders when the house is burning, when there is fire in Urhobo, and we have people who call themselves leaders who cannot do anything about it. I think it is time that the ball is now thrown on their court to do something specifically about this problem. I don't know if you agree with me.
I definitely agree with you. The whole point of my paper is to look at also not just that we are fighting, but what are the causal effects of this disunity. For example, in the UK here, the Masoro group is having a Urhobo Day raising money for Urhobo House. The Chief Ganigan's group is having a Urhobo Convention raising money for Urhobo House. And so we've got money dispersed here and there. We are calling for support, but even if we were to get money here and money there for the same Urhobo House, we'll have to buy two Urhobo houses. Maybe a combination of the two may have been enough to buy one house, but because our monies are dispersed, then we won't be able to achieve our objectives.
That is duplication of efforts.
Exactly, and I also refer to the fact that the lack of cohesion and among our people, which led to the emergence of Paul Akpofure as the president at that time, instead of allowing Chief Humphrey Agowia to conduct a second term election, which he could lose, if there was a good support for Paul Akpofure, then he would have participated and won, and then there'd be a normal transition. But because of the way it was handled, the Agowia administration decided not to hand over that money to Paul Akpofure. I reckon money is probably worth about £7,000. That money is still hanging somewhere. It's never been returned to any of the UPUs, even the ones that Humphrey Agowia has supported. He made a deal with Paul Akpofure. He could have handed over that money when he accepted the deal. He didn't. I'm sure he was still very angry at the time.
Yeah.
And then after that, he supported Chief Ganiga as the one that was anointed by the President General. He still did not hand over that money. I'm sure the anger continues. In my presentation, I said, well, I believe he will do it when there's total unity. So that is money aside as well. Yes. So when we have money spreading here and there, how do we achieve our our aim, our overall aim, we want to get an Urhobo house where Urhobos can display their culture, display their food, teach their dance in a social setting, rather than using other people's community halls.
Yes.
So, but we can't achieve that if we are disunited. That is one. The way forward, the way I see it, when this last push for reconciliation was going on, I was one of those that suggested that either Chief Ganiga or Masoro be disqualified from running in the unity elections. So, because these two people are very powerful, they are good friends of mine, and they are very powerful people in terms of their support base. Yeah. If they are allowed to contest in a unified election, either they will continue to be more fighting, or the result may still be contested, and unity will not be properly achieved. So I was recommending, in fact, that they should both be disqualified from running so that we can achieve total unity here in the UK. All said and done, the two of them have been merged in their different groups as the leaders again. I doubt if any unity movement at the moment will succeed. It may be premature. We may need to wait for each of them to now finish their second terms and let the Urhobos think, how do we go from here? The attempt by the Urhobo community to set up Urhobo United Union has failed. Why has it failed? It is because of the strong branding of UPU. Everybody wants that name. It is the unifying factor. Nobody wants to give up that name. But we need one name, yes, we need one name, but we need to all work together. That is the bottom line. Everybody's position has to move. If you want to achieve unity, then you must shift your position.
Of course.
You cannot remain where you are and say, I want unity. For example, Chief Ganiga will insist that he's the legal president of UPU in the UK. Okay, so it's not ready to move. If you want to be part of UPU, come and join me. Omasoro will insist, I won that election, and I'm therefore not going to join anybody else.
Yes.
Those are two very rigid positions, and their supporters believe very strongly in those reasons as well. If you don't shift your position slightly for the sake of unity, then we may never achieve it. I think the clan heads and the Council of Chiefs should continue their deliberations, and because that's the only way that unity can be achieved. They should continue their deliberations which they started. Immediately, Chief Ganiga withdrew from the negotiations. They should have allowed Angus Masoro to go rather than form another union, which wasn't, which did not include the other party. So I think they should continue their negotiation. Hopefully, by the end of 3 years, we will achieve unity here in the UK.
I don't know if I should say this though, but I don't believe that that is a solution. The reason why I've said that is because whether you like it or not, on both sides we have two vice presidents who I believe that at the end of the tenure of both Omasoro and Chief Omasoro and Chief Ganiga, those people would like to continue from where they are. From where the leaders stopped. So, so how do we then get people who are already entrenched in their own different ways to come together? So that is the reason why it is not incumbent on, for me, it is not incumbent on both leaders, Chief Omasoro and Chief Ganiga, to get us out of the present predicament now that they are still in the position. Now, for me, failing is that this will continue. And the tendency for both leaders are that it will be very, very difficult for them to be respected going forward in the community once they stop becoming the UPU president because of the division that the both of them have caused in the community. That is for me, because if they don't do nothing about it right now, then I'm not going to go to a particular function or anywhere and accord them the respect of being president of the UPU at one time. I don't know about other people, but that is what I think.
Well, I think many people feel the same. Many people feel the same, and this is why I said that the head of clans and the council of chiefs, which did a marvelous job that almost brought this into conclusion, should continue their negotiations with the two parties with the hope that we can achieve unity before the end of 3 years. But that we must do because I remember this year's convention. There were so many people that boycotted the Urhobo Day, many people that boycotted the Urhobo conventions as well.
Yes.
So we need all our people on board if we want Urhobo here in the UK to succeed. I recall that the first election that the election that was won by Omasoro was the number of voters was 800 plus.
Yes.
It was over 800 people. So that is that should tell you that we have a lot of Urhobos here in the UK. Registration alone at £10 netted £8,000 in that election. So if we have 800 Urhobos paying £100 subscription a year, that's £80,000 for the union.
Yes.
And I know by today, if we do a unified election, we can have 1,000 Urhobos easily.
Easily. That is because, of course, because of the advent of social media, a lot of people are involved. They are more involved in the Urhobo processes right now than before. In 2012, for instance, we have very few people. That's why you got 800. As I speak to you, on good authority, we have even the younger generations now becoming interested to the extent that they want this unity to take place so that they can actually contribute their quota to the Urhobo project. That is because most of the people who are doing this infighting right now, they are getting older. Yes. We are talking about people who are 70 and over. Yes. Now, the question is, if they continue with this present situation, what is the future of the UPU in the UK? Well, what would be the future of the UPU?
Well, as I said in my paper, those who were sitting on the fence as a result of this crisis have basically some are falling off the fence.
Of course.
And those who were active have gone to sitting on the fence. And a lot of the people who boycotted this year's conventions and Urhobo Day celebrations just tells you a lot of people have gone back sitting on the fence. I just don't want to mention names, but there are prominent people in our community that used to be very, very keen on Urhobo, UPU affairs, and that have gone to, have suddenly disappeared off the scene. We also, I recall the youth, the younger generation group, which a lot of our beautiful young ladies belong to, and it was very strong, and they were very, very keen on identifying with our people, with our Urhobo culture and our Urhobo people. Most of them can't even speak Urhobo, but they were very happy to be there, and these are the things that we are losing at the moment. And of course, the brilliant use of Eko Makube, who are there and very, very strong, very united, and many. We are losing the benefits of all these people who could be supporting the Urhobo agenda in the UK. So there is a need for unity. Chief Ganiga must understand that he's done very well. I appreciate what he's done for the Urhobo people. I attended his convention, and he mentioned about 40 people have been awarded scholarships so far by his group, which is fantastic. He's doing very well. Masro himself, I doff my hat for him. He's done so well in terms of, keeping his group together and promoting the Urhobo culture.
Yeah, the Urhobo school project, one-to-one services to members of the older.
The Urhobo funerals around town. The input is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I doff my hat for both of these guys, but they need to understand that Urhobo people need unity. They need unity, and we can achieve more by this unity. They're driving people back into the fence. There are so many people not interested anymore, and that is losing our strength. And we're losing resources by so doing.
Yes.
So they must acknowledge this and embrace unity. And that's why I said there's no better body to do it than the Council of Chiefs, again, and the clan heads. Let them continue their negotiation. Let us continue to let them understand that we can't be driving our people away from our union, and we should be bringing our people back into our union.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Chief. So before we go, I will get your last remark. We would like you to give a few advice, a few recommendations as to how we need to move forward here in the UK. And if you want to extend that to back home as well, that would be good. So please, a little words of advice. But I believe that if you were to advise, for me, the advice should go to our both leaders so that at least they can hear the call and the cry of members of the community who are saying, that they want unity. I mean, I believe that as leaders, if people are clamoring for something that is good, it is only also good for you to give it, especially when you have the ability and when you have the chance and the time to do it.
Yes, thank you very much for that. In fact, I will start by thanking all of the people who have come back to me with words of encouragement after my paper has been presented. I didn't realize that this was going to cause so much attention, to be honest with you. If I knew, maybe I would have added a bit more. But I'd like to thank so many of you out there who showed interest in what I said. And I even had a comment from somebody like Chief Barrow back home saying that he thanked me so much for a very balanced speech, calling for Urhobo unity, and he believes that unity is the only way forward in Urhobo, and UPU is the only platform to achieve that. So we must all take that seriously. Here in the UK, people should read my speech again and understand that I'm not there I just presented the facts as they stand and call on our people to embrace unity. We are losing quite a lot of our very active and prominent Urhobo people here in the UK. We are driving them away from being interested in Urhobo affairs. And I think it's about time we embrace peace, bring them back. Let us form a strong union. A united Urhobo Progress Union here in the UK will probably be the strongest Nigerian union in the UK. I've already analyzed that we could have 1,000 people in the next unified election of UPU.
Of course.
If everyone pays £100 each, that could easily be 100,000 from only subscription in 1 year. And our goals for Urhobo House will be achieved much more easily. We must always understand infighting notwithstanding, we remain one tribe, we remain one people, and we remain brothers and sisters. So my advice really to our both leaders here in the UK is please share your pride, look at Urhobo unity as far above individual pride and individual ambitions, which I think if we did that, we can embrace unity and gather our people together, form a strong union, and let us achieve what we aim for the Urhobo nation here in the UK.
So thank you very much, Chief. I think we better end it here. That is because we have actually spent so much time on this. So I would like to thank you very much, Olorogun Charles Okobia. You are incidentally also my presido at the Government College Old Boys Association level. And I want to use this medium also to congratulate you on all that you have been doing, both for Urhobo and the various associations. Delta State Forum, you are the president as well. And yes, so I want to thank you for all that you have been doing. I want to thank you for coming on Urhobocast, and also wish you well for the forthcoming Government College Old Boys Dinner that is coming up on the 23rd of September. So thank you very much, Chief. Thank you and thank you.
Thank you.
You